Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonictalk episode, what is it? 869, recording today, the 19th of November 2025. This is the Music Technology Podcast where we talk about, well, music technology, synth software, recording, streaming, performing, distribution, anything that really fits the bill of modern music creation and performance and whatnot. I want to say thanks to everybody in the chat. Nice to see a bunch of familiar faces. Floppy Winkles there, Jeepo Card Company, Mr. Gums, C, Zen Artist, Rich Hilton. Well, he's also in the panel as well. Katie Kilobyte, Wagyu. Thanks very much, Wagyu, again for your great work on the administration and all of the other stuff. That's very much appreciated. Neil Elkins. Hey, Neil. Neil's a Bath guy. Know them. I often see them at the local hostelry. Willow Music. Whole bunch of people there. So nice to see you all. We've got a few things just to mention. Let me just go what's coming up so I could just tell you. Don't forget we've got the Spectrasonics competition. I think if I press this, does that show up? Yeah, I think so, and I might even go into the chat. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I have to do that, if that does it. There, that'll go in the chat. There you go. Got it. So, yeah, that's running to, I think it's the 20-something of November. You can win Omnisphere 3 from Spectrasonics, their latest super-duper plugin. Very kind of them to join us and give us a prize like that. We've got... Paulie's looking at the Suono Bono Polivera, very much looking forward to that. Hexdrum review was out yesterday, I believe. I've done a Yuhi Ubic 2 patch flip, which was quite challenging because Ubic 2 is not a product, it's 10 plugins. So I've had some fun with that. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, don't forget, please review or rate Sonictalk on podcasting, anywhere you get your podcast, because it's always handy to have latest reviews. Keeps us makes it look like we're active. I mean, we are active. It's 869, for goodness sake. And just one last fact on this day, 1990. I thought people would like this one. 1990, pop duo Milli Vanilli was stripped of their Grammy Award after it was learned that they didn't sing on the Girl You Know It's True album, which, for those of you who were around at the time, it was such a huge. I mean, it's ridiculous now. It's almost sort of. It's such a peculiar concept, and I do feel sorry for them. I'm sure they were lovely chaps. It was I'm forgetting the name of the producer, Frank Farron, wasn't it? The Boney M guy was also producer there, and it was just in the tradition of manufactured pop. So I hope they're still doing all right, and didn't scar them too hard, because they were given a pretty hard time. But anyway, on this day, so let's get on to some guests. We've got Yoad Nevo, who's over there in his studio, where he's producing and developing and mixing and doing all kinds of stuff. Saw your latest video on monitoring quietly. Very wise words. For those of you who haven't checked, check out Yoad's channel. Yeah, very good. Lots of good reasons. Very simple and straightforward. I didn't think about one thing that I really didn't think about is obviously mixing quietly. Your ears begin to sort of tune because you're having to strain a bit harder to hear things, and they're not just being forced down your ear holes. So that I hadn't considered that one. That's a very good point. I still monitor too loudly, though. I know I do.
You learn to enjoy it. I enjoy it very much because my ears are more focused, so I can hear more details, and it's actually fun because you hear more when you're not blasting it. And like I say on the video, it's like your pupils when you're out in the sun and it's too bright, your pupils will contract, so everything becomes less contrasty, less detailed. And the same goes with our hearing. We have a similar mechanism that kind of contracts, so we hear less actually the louder we play the music, or we definitely hear less dynamics and less details and less differences between even the different frequency ranges. So when you hear, when you listen quietly, you get more transients, you get more dynamics, but across the entire range.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. So, yeah, good words. I'm sure Rich concur. I mean, you mix a bunch. I mean, do you I guess it depends on the client to a degree as well. If you're part of if you're not mixing solo, do you tend to work at low volumes, or do you have a sort of a specific volume you like to work at, or in some cases multiple volumes at different times?
I think my volume level would be considered low to most people I hear working. I will crank it up a minute, here and there, just to see how it's sitting. But I find just mixing in general to be much easier to do when I'm not forcing the sound into the room at a higher level than it needs to be for me to get a picture. And so I concur with everything you guys just said. I don't really like to mix loud, and not for very, I hardly ever even listen loud, but I will check sometimes. And then sometimes you're in a session with a group who wants to impress the record company, and then somebody's going to grab the knob and go like that, and I'm going to put my earplugs in or leave the room because I have to work for the rest of the day. And again, like Yoad pointed out, it's like getting your eyes blasted. You can't really make out anything anymore.
Yeah, interesting. Sorry, Rich, I just realised I drew you in without actually introducing you. Of course, Rich Hilton here.
Hi.
Keyboard on the road with... Hi, I'm Rich. On the road with Chic often, and obviously production and engineering and playing as well. Nice to have you again, Rach. As I said last week, we've been fortunate to have you more than usual recently, because you're usually not here, so it's always a pleasure. So thanks for jumping on. And I'd like to say actually thanks for both of you for jumping on, because it was one of those weeks where we just there was a quiet period from a variety of all our guests, and both of you very kindly said, "Hey, I'll come on if you're stuck for people." So that's kind. I would point out they are not in any way a second choice. It's just Rich has been on, so he probably stepped back, and Yoad was busy, but thank you, Yoad, for making space in your busy diary for us. It's much, much appreciated. So we got a few things to talk about. Let's see. I guess we could start with the obvious one. I mean, Black Friday's coming up. It's a big... let's see, where is it? I'm trying to find it. There it is. If I press the button... we've got a deal watch running, so there's a whole bunch of should do. I press that one, don't I? Yeah, there it goes. We've got a deal watch running. It's kind of I've written a little thing that allows us to just post. There are a lot of deals here, so obviously this is sale time of year. And sale time of year, I don't know. I always feel slightly guilty about not having thought about it first and taking advantage of what I might want to buy at this time of year. And sometimes, but I am looking for something. I'm trying to find, if I get the opportunity, I want to get the Elgato Stream Deck XL at a bargain price, because I've got one here which I use a lot, and I tripped over the cable a couple of times last week, and I thought that would be tragic if I didn't have a spare, because it really is something that I use all the time, certainly for switching this show and when we're doing presentations back there where we've been doing a lot of those. It's an integral part of it. So I just wondered if there's anything that you're looking for, Rich. Got anything, your eye on any bargains, or waiting for them? Because not all the sales have dropped yet. Fortunately, some of these people don't wait until actually Friday rather than it being November. Anything you got in your sights?
There's the class of things that I actually can do, and then there's the class of things that I'd really like to do but probably won't do. And in that second category, I just got another email from MAKEN0ISEMUSIC trying to sell me an APB on sale. And I think that the APB MAKEN0ISEMUSIC product is one of the most unique things to be designed in my lifetime for
is that
using
the box of
stuff that we use to produce music.
Right. Is that it's like the box of electronics that can be reconfigured? It's not FPGA, but it's almost like an analog FPGA that you can
analog processing box. Yeah, APB is analog processing box, and it basically allows their software interface to run audio through hardware in a recallable fashion, and using different kinds of methods to get different results. They have a lot of great sounding plugins for it. It's just something that I kind of lust after, but it's thousands of dollars. And I don't do that much mixing in here. Like, so I'm weighing it, and that just came up, and we said something during the show prep about a good microphone, and I'm somebody in life who could use a good microphone right now, but do I really need one? No. And am I likely to buy it right now? No. But when that Telefunken ad came through, and they're like, an hour up the road, Telefunken, and I like those guys, and I like their products. Boy, was I tempted, because both of my sons own this microphone, and they sound fantastic, these microphones.
Okay.
And so these are the things I'm probably not going to do, but what I am doing is upgrading my laptop.
Right.
Not that I desperately needed to do that either, but it was kind of a deal I couldn't refuse in terms of taking the old one in trade. So I'm upgrading my laptop, and I also just bought a piece of software today that we'll get to further up in the show. Hopefully.
Okay, how exciting! Those are the Geosynths. Jamie, nice to see you there. Geosynths said he got in fact, there is a deal at the moment. Melbourne Instruments are offering Delia and Nina, which are their little motorised synths. Really massive discounts. It's almost $1,000 off the price, which is astonishing.
Wow.
I mean, that's something that's coming from head office as well. So they've just done it. And so I don't know whether that means there's something else coming along, or maybe they've got to a point where they can make more of them, and they've got economy scale, so they can clear out the old stock. But yeah, if you're looking at one of those, those sort of deals don't come along very often. But I don't know. We often buy, like, say, NVMe drives and that sort of thing. Replaceables, combustibles, consumables, I think is what he called. What about you, Johan? Anything you've got your eyes on?
Well, I recently purchased the Hans Zimmer Legend Moog plugin thing, which is really, really good. So I'm enjoying that very much. And obviously, I made the upgrade to Omnisphere 3, which is amazing. And I actually, they have the effects rack now separate, so you can use it as a floating rack, so you don't have to use it only on the synth sounds. You can use it in your DAW. And I actually made a video about that, how I use it for guitars. Some amazing effects, really good new effects, but even the old ones were amazing. And I know they had a lot of requests from users to make them kind of standalone, not standalone, but plugins that you can run audio through, and they did, plus adding new effects, and it's really, really good. Some really good stuff there. So I'm enjoying that as well. The first thing I got on sale was the Easy Drummer 3, which I had my eye on for a while. And I was debating whether to go for the Superior Drummer or the Easy Drummer. And I have BFD, which is so complicated. And I suspected that the Superior Drummer will be the same. I mean, it has a lot of possibilities and all that, and you can do all that. You can control the amount of spill from here to here and all that. But with the Easy Drummer, you can do much of that, although it's not as straightforward. But you can do that with gain staging, with setting the level on the actual drums, and then balancing the mixer so you get less or more spill and things like that. Sounds are really good. I'm a sucker for virtual drums. I don't use them that much, but I enjoy playing them. And I have my new Alesis kit, the mesh pads with real hi-hat and overheads and cymbals. So I use that, and that's a great combination, I have to say, because you get the feel of the hi-hat and the cymbals, and you get the sound. So it's basically like having triggers on a live drum kit.
Without the spill.
Yeah, but I mean, you do get some of those clicks. It's mesh, so it's not like hard plastic, but you do get some of those clicks, but you're not going to hear it once you have like a snare sample and a kick sample on top. And it's a great combination because you can compress the whole thing so the hi-hats and the cymbals get kind of compressed by the rest of the kick. You have to do a bit of routing to make it kind of realistic, but it's a great combination. So so I enjoy that a lot. And like Rich said, and maybe we're talking about the same thing, another piece of software that just came out that you will probably mention later in the show.
Ah, yes.
So,
I think I know which. Well, I think I know which it is. I'd be surprised if it's what I'm not thinking of, but you never know. I mean, that would be an interesting one. Okay, well, lovely. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, and feel free in the chat room if you've got anything that you want to pop in there to let anybody else know about some interesting deals. Because I mean, and we'll keep an eye. And by the same token, please feel free to tag us or let us know in the comments, and we'll stick the deals in the. In the live blog thing, because it's kind of fairly straightforward. I've been using a system called Make.com, which is a really brilliant way of connecting up loads of different APIs, and you just kind of go save this bookmark to a folder, and the folder then just turns into a post on the live blog. It's all very clever, actually. I'm very pleased with that. Okay, right. Well, let's see what else we got. Well, on the other side of the world, let's try this one. This was. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. In many ways, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Let's see what you think.
Set the tempo to 128 and the key to A minor.
Done.
Now create 2 MIDI tracks named sub, bass and lead, colored blue and yellow, each with a 4-bar clip. Sidechain the sub bass to the kick and roll off everything above 100 Hz. Now, can you tell me how to make this bassline groovier?
If we just stopped there without getting into the make my music better, that is an impressive thing. That's something called Mellosurf. Mellosurf.com. As far as I tell, I mean, there's very little information about it at the moment. There is Mellosurf.com. You go and sign up. I think you can get access at this point. It's a Max for Live device, which I'm assuming has some kind of MCP server and translation layer in Max for Live that goes out to one of the language models and that pre-trained or whatever, and makes this stuff work for you in Ableton. And what I was watching there, and if you watch the rest of the video, that video is more interesting than the kind of professional slick one where it's just all a bit AI buzzwords. That's just like, hey, look, there's somebody talking to their computer and it's doing things. These are the sort of things that I was hoping this kind of stuff would do for us. Make me a session, I'm going to have a guitarist, just build it up, brilliant, let's go. This looks really interesting. I'm afraid there's zero other information as to how it's trained, what it's trained on, how much it might cost, any of those things, but it feels to me like this is a bit of a landmark product or demonstration that's what we meant. I put in the notes. Is this more what we're looking for? It's just interesting. So I don't know, Rich, I saw you nodding your head there. I mean, isn't this the sort of thing that would be really useful? I mean, it will do musical stuff where it's why are my chord? Can you make my chords happier? That's okay as well, I guess, as long as you're not saying make me a track from scratch.
Oh, no, I have no problem with this whatsoever. This use of this kind of technology is exactly what we need. And there's a new product that's being advertised with the new version of Pro Tools that I believe comes from the SoundFlow people. Is it SoundFlow? Yes, SoundFlow. And I can't remember the name of the product, but it allows you to do exactly this. Talk to the program and tell it I'd like you to set up a set of drum tracks. It's going to have 3 tom-toms, top and a bottom snare mic, set of overheads of a couple of room mics. I'd like them bussed, please, to this, going through such and such bus compressing program, whatever. You can just talk to it and it'll just do it.
Well,
And
like you would an
God
actual
knows,
assistant.
setting up-
I mean, if you had an assistant, you would say that to them, right? I mean, if you can use the same sort of form of words, right?
Yeah, well, and in the way that iZotope uses the word assistant, that's the other use of this kind of technology that I've been sort of involved in, which is, let's see what iZotope suggests. And it's never what I would do, but it always shows me something that I didn't think of because of the time when I was educated as an engineer. And so my brain just doesn't tend to go there. But they'll show me some option that isn't something I would have considered, and I'll play around with it and I'll learn something. And that's kind of what I like to do with these things. And so this workflow enhancements for DAW kind of behavior is just, it's been a long time since anything like this came along, which is going to change our workflow this significantly, in my opinion. Not specifically this guy's particular implementation for Ableton, although that was fun and cool in the fact that it was responding so well, although I'm pretty sure he said 120 and they gave him 128. But whatever, it's cool. And the idea that you should be able to do this is actually a tremendous workflow enhancement, in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. I just want to put somebody in the chat room, Tempera Boto, said, so fire all the assistants. That wasn't really what I meant, because, I mean, you're not necessarily going to ask your assistant to set up your DAW channels. You might ask them to go set up the room and plug the mics in and do the things that, you know, that you need in hardware. So I suppose in a way, you know, it may be a different, because you might well template this stuff. I know, Yad, what do you think? I mean, would this make your life, I mean, I know you work with templating, you've got a very complex auto load, you know, you do all of that stuff. Would it be nice to be able to modify some of these things at a spoken level, you know, starting with my template, do this, and I don't need any of that stuff in it, just these things, let's go?
So for stuff like that, I don't find it very useful personally, but once it gets into editing regions, that will be interesting.
Right. Okay.
So when I can tell it, separate all the breaths into their own track, cut the vocal, move the first chorus, move that line to here, push that kick drum a bit, you know, forward or this or that. Once it gets into those, and it is possible because there are some agents that can, in DaVinci Resolve, can do the camera switching automatically based on audio, you know, recognizing who the speaker is and things like that. That would be good as well. I've not gotten into that yet. But that level of integration will make it much more interesting, because I can say to it, you know, separate all the snare drum hits from a recorded snare mic track or something like that. That will be interesting. Also, export the guitars, the stems. You know, you can do in Cubase, you can do a lot of stuff like that, and you can set it up to do stuff, and then you can go home and it does it for you. In Logic, unfortunately, it's not the case yet. But once it gets into these territories, I think that will be, for me personally, much more time saving, because that's the stuff that I get, that, you know, and I have my assistant who prepares the sessions for me and does a lot of things. So a lot of the editing and mundane stuff, which luckily I don't have to do as much as I used to. But still, even during a mix, sometimes you decide that you want to split the chorus vocals onto their own track, because you want to, rather than use automation, you want to have a different delay set up on the chorus vocals or whatever, or less compression or more compression. So you end up having to chop stuff, and it can be time consuming. At the same time, when you do it yourself, you have control over what you're doing. Because if
and you've got an instinct which you apply as well, right? So, you know.
Exactly, because if you're going to drag stuff across which has automation on it, is it going to leave some weird automation lines, or, you know what I mean? So it's definitely heading in the right direction. And these are, in the same way that I use tools like that all the time for manipulating text, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to manipulate regions on the screen. It's just a matter of time.
I guess the integration is going to be interesting. I mean, because one of the things I would say about, you know, Cubase is probably considered to be less of a, what's the word I'm looking for? More of a sort of pro tool, and less about beginners, which Logic, Apple always has this sort of fixation with making sure their things are accessible. So sometimes Logic can be a bit dumb, not as advanced as perhaps you'd like it to be, because it's aimed at a much broader market segment. It's aimed at people who might want to throw stuff together, maybe not do mixes to soundtracks with multiple stem outputs and all of that kind of thing. So maybe you won't get that. No,
I wouldn't necessarily say that. You have GarageBand, which is aimed at that market segment. Logic is still one of, together with Cubase, are the two most sophisticated by far DAWs in terms of features and what you can do with Logic. You can do some amazing batch processing stuff and stuff that other DAWs are decades behind. Cubase and Logic are in the forefront of the feature kind of heavy DAWs, but the bounce of the offline bounce in Cubase is more advanced. I would say that.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, it's interesting because once this is done, I mean, it's going to be a bit like, in the way that Melodyne gave API access so that it could be incorporated into DAWs. When somebody has a model that is going to work, that can be sort of then presumably it'll be a similar sort of principle that the API, if the DAW gets in, and because you could do all of this stuff. I mean, there are many programs that have really good APIs. I mean, by APIs, if you're not familiar with the term, it's usually exposes almost every function and feature and parameter that you can programmatically adjust. So saying something in take every bass track and turn it down by 2 dB, for instance, it would know if every bass track had the word bass in it, then it would be easy because it would just go find all the tracks with this, apply this process via the API. So once you get an API access and you can access all of these things, then this sort of stuff becomes much, much simpler. So maybe we'll see this for the first, this is one of the first iterations, and because it's been demonstrated, people go, I mean, that's what it seemed like between you three, you guys. It's like, yeah, I could see this being useful. So it's an interesting one. So yeah, if you go, I think it's Mellow. What did I say it was? It was. It's. Oh, well, it's in that URL. I can't remember. I didn't have it. Mellowsurf.com, I think it is. I signed up and I'm waiting to hear, if I get access, it'd be interesting. But it will always be interesting to see whether this is going to be yet another one of those $20 a month, $10 a month, $5 a month, $100 a month. I mean, who knows, or a one-off payment. I imagine it's going to be subscription-based because most people can only access these LLMs via a subscription-based service. You don't get to use them forever unless you're paying big bucks. So, and that's going to be interesting. Anyway, probably time for an ad. So let's just play that, and I'll be back after this short message.
Welcome to Ozone 12, your complete mastering suite. Trusted by producers and engineers for over 20 years. Ozone now features an overhauled assistant that puts you in full control. The latest mastering tech provides louder, clearer tracks and 3 brand new additions to its 20 plugin toolkit. Fix the unfixable with Stem EQ. Lock in your low end in any listening environment with bass control, and magically revive overcompressed audio with Unlimiter. Whether you're working on your first release or the next #1 hit, Ozone 12 gives you the control, power and speed to realize your creative vision and bring your tracks to life. Download a free trial or upgrade today to experience the full toolkit for yourself. Available now at iZotope.com.
And we'd like to thank iZotope for sponsoring Sonic Talk. Now back to the show. Yeah, just a great one here. AK Mixmaster says, Ableton, open Bitwig. I think that's kind of where there'll be limitations in this, where you can't tell one DAW to do stuff and another DAW. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Format wars, yes. Very droll, Mr. Gumby. Okay, well, let's have a look next. Okay, well, we'll go to the plugin one because I think this was alluded to a little bit earlier. So, I mean, it's big news. These guys haven't released anything, apparently, or they've been working on this for 8 years. Actually, I should probably rephrase that. And that is, of course, the Valhalla Futureverb. This is actually a demo by somebody called Andy Vax, who's done 191 presets for €22. You can check them out at andyvax.com. They're Ukrainian, so you can support or not, however you feel about it. But yeah, it's always good to support people who are struggling in a war situation. So yeah, Valhalla Futureverb, 191 presets. That's why they're blurred out, I'm guessing, because obviously you just copy them. But as we know, Valhalla just make great stuff. They're kind of, I think, amongst certainly the new breed of DSP coders, the stuff that they've come up with, particularly with the free reverb, which is, what is that one called? I can't remember what the Valhalla free, what's the free reverb called? I've forgotten. There's a whole bunch in here. There's all sorts of short and room type stuff. Looks like a very impressive thing. So 8 years of research. It's got 8 reverb modes, 12 echo modes. What did they say? Since we don't actually believe in perfection, which they think this is one of their most perfect set of algorithms, we added a colourful and powerful echo section. Futureverb gives you, I'm just reading from it. Oh, I can't read it down now. My text is cut off. But nice. I mean, Valhalla are one of those companies that just have been in the consciousness of many, I guess primarily because they give so much stuff away for nothing.
Yeah, the supermassive delay is such an amazing plugin, and it has kind of reverby sound as well that you can achieve by, diffusing the delay reflections and things like that. So that's, I don't know how that's free. I think it's still free. I recommend to anyone to click on whatever you need to do and get it, because it's an amazing product. But the vintage reverb is, I would say, it's like the serum of reverbs. Everyone has it and everyone uses it, and it's really good. And I'm very curious to hear what the new one, I mean, from what we can hear on these demos, it sounds really good. From what I can tell, the main difference is the modulation engine. In algorithmic reverbs, the modulation, how you implement the modulation is key to the sound. That's the famous lexicon sound, and because you have this feedback system from your delay line, and then the diffusion, and then you're feeding back through filters. And when you manipulate the time, thus creating modulation, on the way between the delay line and back to the input, that's what will make the interesting lexicon and bricasti kind of sounds. And Valhalla are doing that in the vintage reverb. They're doing it in an interesting way. I mean, it sounds great, and it sounds to me like on the future reverb, whatever it's called, they went a step further in that direction, because it sounds less predictable. It sounds less LFO-y. And it sounds a little bit, I don't know if it has a dynamic kind of response to the input signal. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But even if not, it sounds more random. And with reverbs, the more randomness you introduce, the less comb filtering and kind of metallic sound you'll get. And modulation also helps with long tails, because if you're feeding back, you're going to have a nasty feedback sound. And when you modulate the signal, it will defer that feeding back sound, metallic and resonant and all that. So if you introduce more sophisticated ways of modulating the time, then you can get away with longer reverb times, which will be more discrete, I would say, and will hang less to, like if you play piano and stuff and you have those resonant sounds, and then sometimes you can hear that the reverb kind of latches onto them and makes it a little bit unpleasant and metallic. once you modulate the feedback, you can get away with more of that long tail without having those artifacts. So I'll stop talking now.
Interesting. It's interesting. This is only $50. I mean, they don't charge an awful lot for this. I mean, they're not going for sort of lots of fancy things as well. They're just getting the basics right. You know, they're not doing the kind of ducking and dynamic input sort of thing that you get with some delays and reverbs where it will. But you can route all of that sort of stuff yourself in the DAW setup or however you're going to do it. This is interesting, Rich. I mean, did you say you bought this because?
Yep.
I'm guessing. Phew. I'm glad it was this one. Sight Unheard.
It was
okay.
Sight Unheard, and then I plugged it in and listened to it, and it sounds fantastic. It sounds just like I hoped it would. And yeah, I loved Supermassive, and I've got one I think they call Space Modulator or something like that. And I just liked their stuff, and I knew it would be good, and it is. And I'm really happy I saw it, bought it. It's really
excellent.
Cool. And for $50, it's like the last, on some level, you could say the last thing I need is one more reverb. But reverbs are fun. I enjoy using reverbs. I like using different ones. I like using them in different combinations. And there's something fun to me about that. And in this day and age, having fun while I'm doing this is really almost the most important thing. So,
that's fair enough.
I'm happy to have this in the toolkit.
While we're on the subject of reverb, actually, because I've just done the Ubic 2, the Yuhi thing, the ambience plugin in there is actually really nice, and it has an enormously wide range of sounds from sort of very. On a mix, I was putting tiny little bits on a loop just to give it a bit of breadth, and it worked really well. And I put it on pianos to make huge modulated reverb. There was a lot of variance in there, and that's kind of an interesting, worth checking out. Although it's a part of a larger suite, I don't think you can get them separately. But that's some of these algorithms. I'm guessing it's algorithmic because it's all the parameters run in real time. But because of the Yuhi stuff, you've got all of this. You can have input processing, an envelope follower that, or you can map to all kinds of parameters and all that sort of thing. So if that's your bag as well, But Valhalla just don't mess around, and I can't. They must be selling a whole ton of these at $50. I mean, people aren't going to bother cracking it, are they? I mean, which is great because that's what you want. You want to support these people because I'm sure when you say 8 years in the making, that's a lot of time to recover. But yeah, really nice, really nice. Okay, let's see what's next. I didn't know that. Well, this was the other plugin that I think we should check because, again, I'm just curious to see whether anybody knows or understands where this might be used or whether it is something that's been used. We might not get round to a lot of our other ones, but I thought this was an interesting one. IK's ReSing has been released, so this is it. It's a bit of a salesy video.
Welcome to the next revolution in vocal production. Introducing ReSing, voice modeling for professionals. ReSing is a breakthrough plugin and standalone application that brings professional
this
voice
is not something
modeling
that
to
we
your
haven't seen
desktop
before.
workflow. At the core of ReSing is advanced AI technology that
all of this stuff. So anyway, we get onto some of the examples.
I'm like a big old time bomb. You're gonna know when I blow. I'm like a big old time bomb.
I mean, there are examples. I mean, to my ears, it sounds pretty flawless in many ways, but in many ways, that's part of the problem. A lot of these examples, I actually preferred the original vocal because it was a bit less perfect. But I mean, there must be situations where this is useful. I mean, I guess where this would really work is if I'm just a rubbish singer. I write songs. I want them to sound better than they do. I mumble my lines in there, or I can articulate them well. I revoice them so that the demo has more impact and works well. I don't know, Johan. I mean, I'm guessing maybe this is. Do you get demos and stuff where people have done this kind of thing? I mean, does this have a use? Because it seems like it's getting pretty good. It just sort of feels there's something that feels a bit icky about using AI to replace human voices, and there's not. I can't think of a really decent reason why. It just does, and maybe I'm just sort of overreacting. What do you think?
I think we're gonna get used to it. It's like when MIDI or drum machines were introduced and stuff. along the way, there were a few moments where technology was there was pushback.
Yeah.
But this is the world we live in, and these things are going to get better and better, or better and worse. Like you said, maybe it's too perfect. So at the moment, this is what the technology is capable of producing. But once you get more nuances and more whatever randomness or whatever it is that will make it sound more human or more believable, this is still early days. And it does what it says it should do. And I'm waiting for my license from the good people in ikmultimedia, and then I'll be able to shed more light about my experience with it. I'm also interested in the fact that it can change timbres of different instruments. Since I'm a guitarist, I can express myself much more through the guitar than through my voice. And it will be interesting to see how I can translate that to other instruments. Maybe not so much to vocals, because it's this da-ba-da-ba-da jazzy thing is not kind of my cup of tea. But I don't know, violin, some folky stuff, to just have the ability that's one of the reasons why I like fretless bass so much, because it allows me a certain freedom that the guitar frets, limit me in. And so I'm interested in that. Obviously it's monophonic, but there are ways to get around that as well. I have a guitar with actually it's this Gibson here, which has a hexa pickup, so I can play polyphonically and record it onto 6 different tracks. So I can then manipulate each string individually and get
You want to go full Mutt Lang, right?
Yeah, something like stuff like that. So it's very interesting, and I'm waiting for I think it just came out or something like that. So I'm waiting for the license, and then I'll have more to say about it.
It's interesting. Just quickly, it also doesn't appear to be a subscription, which is refreshing. $129 for 10 voices, 10 instruments, 10 user models, unlimited imports. Max gives you 25 voices, 25 instruments, and unlimited imports. I think imports, maybe you can train your own stuff. And then the ReSing unlimited model, which gives you the ability to import. I suppose something like this, right? If you just said, right, I want to create a backing vocal section. So you just go, okay, we'll revoice my voice, which will be the same every time, and just apply make it sort of wonky so that it's not perfect. I don't want it to sound a perfection. I want it to be a little bit human. And that's the sort of thing I suppose this could use for. I would say, if you wanted to layer loads of stuff up rather than having to sing all of it, which some people love to do, but some people don't. Some people find it very difficult. This is the sort of thing it might be useful. I don't know, Rich, I saw you nodding when Rioad was talking about like revoicing guitars, for instance. That's an interesting idea.
Right. Well, the vocal replacement thing that they start with, which is taking somebody's voice and turning it into somebody else's voice based on the models that they offer you, is interesting and fun. And I have done this many, many years ago, using alternate lead vocal takes to create background vocal sections and things like that, using a Digitech vocalist to pitch the parts and things of that nature. But this goes well beyond that. The part of it that interests me the least is replacing people's vocal sounds. And the part of it that interests me the most is where you cross instruments, like what Yoad was talking about, where he feels more expressive on a guitar. And then you can, it's funny because the guitar bit that they did in the demo, as soon as they put a voice over it, it sounded like somebody scatting in jazz. It really had almost believable. That was almost the most believable thing I heard out of all of it, in a way. I liked going back and forth between voice and other instruments. Some of the instrument models were pretty good. I have a feeling, though I haven't heard everything that's there, that there's not nearly enough. Like especially with respect to 10 different vocal styles and models
exactly.
that you can draw from. There's just way too many kinds of music styles that won't necessarily fall into some guy who, you know, sounds substantially like John Mellencamp, or some guy who sounds substantially like Paver, you know, whoever. You need more than 10. But it's cool that you can do it, and I guess for some people's production styles, this might work for them. It's not that interesting to me, but it's kind of fun in a way. So that's kind of where I stand with it.
And I guess all these things, I mean, you know, it's about the tools. I mean, you know, and using them in interesting ways. I mean, if you're just going to kind of go turn one singer into another, it's a novelty, you know, whereas if there's an actual purpose, I mean, like I say, creating sectional backing vocals where everybody's a little bit different, but again, you're going to need a lot of models, and these models presumably are quite considerably, they're considerably large. In fact, this came in, Cresshead said, using in slow mode, well, I'm guessing that's 50 gigabytes of cache on his PC in 2 hours. So I'm guessing it must be maybe on Maschine. Some of it's happening on Maschine, but it's interesting. I mean, I just think it's going to be an interesting thing. So yeah, check it out. It's out today, and it's not a subscription, but I think there must be demos available. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are when you've had more time to look at it. But yeah, so keep an eye on that. Okay, probably should just have a quick message from our friends, and we'll be back after this short message.
This is Maschine 3.0.
Maschine 3 brings a host of new features, including stem separation, split your tracks into vocals, drums, synth and bass. Set tempo per scene. Control Mark III integration. New MIDI tools, split, mute and join. Bounce in place, redesign interface, compressed file formats, Maschine Central expansion, and more. Save up to $200 on Maschine Plus, Maschine Mark III, and Maschine Micro. Offer ends January 15, 2026. Back to the show. Okay, right. Gosh, where should we go next? We've got. Does anybody have any particular choices that we'd like to go? We've got the Sound Blaster is back, which is an interesting one. Maybe we've got new superpowers for Microkorg 2, Behringer BQ-10, which is all. I mean, you know, my editorial clickbait head said we should do that. Says we should do that just purely because people always respond to Behringer stuff. And there's the MAKEN0ISEMUSIC Multi-Wave as well. Maybe we should. Let's have a look at the Behringer. Why the hell not? Because we don't often talk about Behringer on the podcast. And let me find it. Here we go. So yeah, new it's the BQ-10, which
now
is
over here
the
in
SQ-10.
Behringer land, we'll be the first to admit
let's
that
just
with
fast forward a little bit. So yeah, they've turned this into
setup.
an 8-step. It also does MIDI,
and dialing a melody in,
which you do get quantization. You don't get quantization on the pitch ones. It's got different control voltage ranges, so you could do 5 volts, 2 volts, I think 10 volts, I think for Korg. Reset. I'm kind of curious why you would want a sequencer that big that's only that simple these days with so much stuff that's available. I guess I'm pleased that it's out there, but it's at the Behringer price of 149. It's almost hard to kind of go, well, hey, whatever, you know, that's all it is. I don't know how Korg feel about it, but I suppose that stuff's out of the way, really, isn't it? I know, Joad, you're a fan of a bunch of the Behringer stuff. You've got the DeepMind, which I seem to remember you said was one of your favourite synths. I mean, this is a difficult one because it's a whole lot of real estate with kind of not as much functionality as you can get with a digital engine these days, and there's some really good smaller format sequencers out there. So it's a kind of interesting choice, I think.
Yes, I would. I think it's fun. It's good to have. The fact that it fits in a Eurorack kind of configuration is great. The fact that it has MIDI over USB as well as CV and gate and S-Trig and everything. So it has everything. The one thing I watched the entire video. I may have missed it, but I didn't see any pitch quantization.
No, there isn't.
Scale or otherwise. Over
MIDI there is, but not over.
Over MIDI there is. Yes, of course it would be, but but then it won't get quantized to scale, so it will be chromatic, I presume.
Yes, I believe so.
So that is something that is a little bit, because then you need another. I think I have a quantizer module, and it would be good to have that included for such a beast of a sequencer. The fact that it has 3 separate channels is great, because you can either use it to generate 3 different melodies, or 1 melody and 2 control lanes. Great. I think it's good, but I don't know. I mean, I can
You can do that on your Arturia, can't you? Yeah, and
exactly.
more.
I can program. I have 60 knobs here, and I can program a setup in the Logic environment to just do that, or even use. I think the sequencer here does that. So yeah, I kind of liked there was a smaller version of that, either by Korg or by Behringer, I think. Behringer, I think, had a smaller one, which for me is more attractive, I have to say, because it takes less space. And what you want is like one good thing that you get ideas from or with. And but I'm sure that there's crowd for that product, because it does have everything, except again the note quantization or scale quantization, quantized to scale, which I find a bit kind of absent in this product.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's an oversight. If you're going to improve something, maybe you should. I think the Korg SQ1 is what you were looking at, which was a little. It was a little 2 8-row thing. That was actually quite good. Yeah, and I don't know how much that is. That's a similar price, but it's only got 2 rows of sequences. This has got 3, but this is smaller. And I believe will quantize as well. I don't know, Rich. I mean, I'm guessing the days of dialing in manual pitches on rotary encoders to run sequences is something you're probably not hankering back for much. Maybe you are. I don't know.
It's fun. It's nice, and I understand the idea about the big footprint, but at the same time, some people miss having things spread out a little more. You know, it's sort of the opposite of the Make Noise product, where everything is in a very, very small package and it does a zillion things. And this thing is all spread out, and it's got knobs that you can actually, wrap an entire finger around and use. And some people want that. And I don't have a system for which that would be applicable, but I understand the appeal. And it seemed in the video that when they were turning the pitch knobs as the sequence was playing, either the guy just had magnificent hearing.
No, it was because he was running it over. He was running it over MIDI. That's why.
Yeah, and it was doing substantially what I think Yoad was talking about. Although perhaps there's a control.
Yeah, but the pitch quantization will. I don't know. Maybe there's a setting in a software setup in the MIDI which allows it to snap to scale. But I'm guessing
it's useful to have.
Yeah, it's useful to have, but it will snap to quantize, so it'll be quantized. It'll quantize to semitones, obviously over MIDI, because there are no notes in between unless you're working with something else. But yeah. I don't know, interesting stuff. I think it's all fine and everything's cool. But yeah, I don't know when it's in the stores. I mean, as many with these things, they're often announced and then it takes a little bit more time. But I'm sure you can pick one up if that floats your boat. Absolutely.
Nice little Christmas gift for the right person.
It could be, couldn't it? Yeah, but the SQ1, I do think the SQ1 looks pretty good. I can probably throw it up here quickly because I did. Let me see if I do that, just in case anyone was missing it. I think I can do that. Let me see. I can share. Yeah, there we go. That's the one I was talking about. SQ1. I think that's the one you meant. I don't know how much that is. Let's have a look. Let's see how much it is.
Okay.
See if this will work. I don't think it allows me to click on anything. Oh yeah, I have to click here, don't I? The wrong. How much are they? Oh, same price. There you go. So smaller but less, but the same price, which I suppose that's all right. Okay, cool. Let's see. Will I come back now? No, it doesn't. I turn that off. Okay. Can I do that? Yeah, hey, I'm back. That's good. Wow, that's the first time I've done that without it reconnecting. We can wrap things up here, or we could quickly have a look at the Make Noise Multi-Wave. What does everybody feel like? Is that something that they're interested in? Oops, sorry about that. That's the wrong button. Make Noise, have you got time, Yard? Sure. I didn't want to... I know you were...
Yeah. I mean, it's a great sounding product, so...
It really is, yeah, I thought so too. All right, let's throw that up there, and we'll do that now. One last thing. The new Multi-Wave 8 output, which is kind of a bit mind-blowing.
Modular
Tony Rolando
synthesis has grown to a point where we have everything we could possibly need to make the music we know how to make. And so here at Make Noise, we've started trying to come up with modules that allow us to make music that we don't know how to make yet.
Just run. I'm not sure what we got. This is very long. Anyway, I won't. I just thought that quote was very interesting at the beginning, which is kind of an interesting approach for a company to make. Also, I would point out this uses the what's it called, Universal Synthesizer System, which has jumpers on the back for 8 additional discrete audio or CV controls that you can sort of patch behind the scenes to cut down the number of patches that you might want to do. So you can break that normalization. I think some of it can be normalized and added, but that's kind of interesting. It's $529. It generates audio waveforms at 8 independent channel outputs, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. And the Make Noise, people forget, the Make Noise are kind of one of the biggest manufacturers in the space. I mean, Maths and some of their other modules were consistently in the top 2 or 3 of best-selling modules at the end of every year for many retailers. They have got, they've got a lot of power behind them, and so they can spend time researching these things. And the stuff that they do is, Tony Rolando is a lovely guy as well. So it's nice to see. I know this is interesting. I know, Yoad, you resist the call of your modular because it breaks the workflow that you've become used to, but. This did sound really good, and their stuff does sound.
It sounds really good. It sounds really good. I like the 8 outputs on the wavetable, and it stems from a delay line. That's how you create a multi-tap delay from a single delay line, by having the maximum delay length or the maximum memory, and then taking out audio outputs from the path along the way. So and they've adopted this method in order to take out 8 outputs from the way that the wavetable travels, so scans.
Along the path, right? That's interesting.
Along the path. So I've not seen anything quite like that. It sounds really good. The only thing that it makes me think personally, because of my workflow and the way I do stuff, is that it's completely digital. So how would that differ from using the same module in VCV Rack or something like that, if it was available as just a plugin or as a software module, because that's what it is. So it has all these analog connection points that allow you to, interface with your rack, but the sound is actually digital. Although the converters that they've used, from what I can tell, listening to the YouTube demos, they sound really good. So there's probably something going on there as well. But otherwise, personally, I would prefer to have something like that as on the screen, because then I know it's fun to connect plugs and wires and things like that, but the savability, that's for me the key issue. When I work on sessions, I need to be able to recall and come back to a preset or a patch or whatever it is. And So that's a big thing for me. Sometimes I would go and make some noises and just record them and be happy with it. But a lot of times I need to make some changes. If I need to change the key of a song or the BPM of a song, what do you do then? Then you have to time stretch it. So the difference, you lose the whole analog impact, the sonic impact of the analog, difference
you have to
between
process it that way,
that and a plugin once you mess up with time stretching and stuff like that. So
yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Great sounding product at the same time.
I'm muted. Yeah, I just checked on VCV Rack. Make Noise are one of the companies that don't do VCV Rack stuff, and I don't think you can buy their stuff any other way. So unfortunately, that's unlikely to happen unless somebody attempts to make a clone. Interesting thing, though. Because we've seen wavetable. We've covered wavetable stuff here quite a lot, but this one is yet another flavour, but does have a certain something about it. That sound is quite compelling, I thought.
I thought it sounded fantastic. And tremendous range of modulation control options, and the sound every time the guy turned a knob, something cool happened. It sounded fantastic. And they also featured in the video some kind of normalized integration with their other module, I guess it's called Maths, where they can be normalized to control each other or breaking the normal with patch cables that would then reroute their combined force. But between the two of them, my God, there were some incredible sounds coming out. And I'm quite sure that if I had a modular rig, I would want to have this stuff in it because it sounds terrific and it doesn't sound like other things that I hear. In other words, there's lots of great analog sounding modular stuff that's going on, but this kind of lives in a different world, and I guess it's probably because of what Yoad's pointing out in terms of the design and the digital nature of the sound generation. But it just sounds cool as hell, but different from normal analog Eurorack
absolutely.
synthesis. And so I think it's really a useful product for somebody, especially somebody who's already got their other module to integrate it with. But
it's interesting. What you talk about is the universal synthesizer system, which is that busing thing. All the modules that fit in that range all come with the patch cables around the back, so you can set them up, which means that they will. This is the sort of holy grail of some of the modular stuff. We've seen. I forget the name of the other company that Art. It's the Art System. I've forgotten. I'm terribly sorry. I forgot what it was. This idea of making sort of busing so that we can actually talk to things. I think this combines with something called QSG module, which is a sort of modulation and routing thing. And you can bring things into that. And again, it all happens without patches. And this is the sort of thing that the system that they've built with these modules looks like it could be quite exciting. I do like Make Noise stuff, and like I say, it does extremely well. But 529, I guess, available pretty much now. It was announced this week, so if you've got one on order, fill your boots. I'm sure they will be in all the reputable dealers soon. Okay, well, I think that's probably a good place to stop. Thank you so much for joining us, you two. I'm sure you have other stuff to be getting with. Yoad, I'm guessing you've got stuff to be dealing with. Anything you can tell us about, or is it all top secret as usual?
I'm in the middle of a very interesting mix, a bit challenging. I'm also working on some product developments, which I can't disclose. But some of the things that we mentioned during the show are kind of relevant to those, and I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to trip in my tongue. But anyway, in a lot of interesting stuff, making new videos. Tomorrow I'm releasing Thursday, by the way, every week, Thursday at 6. Is when I release a new video, and I think the one intended for tomorrow is going to be interesting for some people, hopefully. And all that.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Yoad Nevo on YouTube. Do check out the one about mixing quietly. There's a lot of great points made in there. And Rich, lovely to see you again. And of course, always welcome. I hope you have a restful rest of the week, and you're not too busy, though I'm sure you probably like to keep busy. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. You know I love doing the shows, and it was great to see Yoad, who I don't get to spend nearly enough time with. And we'll see you all again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that was Sonic Talk 869. Thanks to everybody in the chats. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye now.